feel extremely awkward and uncomfortable right now, but I'm gonna do this anyway. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Cassandra Simone here, back again with another video. I'm always doing something random and new on my channel, and this is yet another example of that. This is my little, I don't really know what even to call it, some names spinning around are goddess wisdom, because I have my whole goddess diaries thing. Might as well keep the theme of the goddess, being that I am one. And cash chats, which was originally going to be a talk show name, but now I'm thinking more this segment. I don't really know. It's all up in the air right now, but let me just explain why I'm doing this right now. I wanted to create a segment on my channel that allowed me to have the freedom of just speaking freely, because, you know, the main thing I post right now are vlogs, and obviously I can speak freely in those, but it's not just dedicated time to talk to you guys or talk, you know, to the camera and things like that. And then my talk show idea is going to be much different. It's going to be someone here with me. It's going to be more of a teacher-student dynamic, which I'll touch on when that, you know, becomes a fully fledged and thought-out idea. So I wanted to create something where I just had the freedom of practicing being in front of the camera, learning how to slow my speech down, be more articulate, be more intentional with my word choice, and just learn how to just speak to the camera, and also just let you guys into my inner world a bit more. I definitely do that on Instagram, on my Goddess Diaries page that I have on Instagram. It's kind of just like my inner world, my thoughts, my heart, my soul dumps. But I wanted to create a version of that on YouTube because I like longer form content. So that's why YouTube is one of my favorite platforms, because I can just get on here and yap for 20 minutes. And if you resonate with it, then someone will watch it. You know, I can't post a 20-minute video on Instagram or TikTok. My vision for this segment was definitely outside, in nature, just existing sort of. This isn't the most in nature spot, but I forced myself to come to a park in the area that I'm in right now and just put the camera up. And even if I end up hating this vlog, I'm gonna put it up because I need to practice speaking and just allowing myself to not be so in my head all the time when I'm trying to talk and just speak to the camera and be authentic in what's actually in my head at the time. I struggle to find the line of flow between my inner world, my thoughts and my heart, my soul, to the external world and how to get it out there. I think that's why I struggle with trying to find what exactly my art is, and that's why I struggle with verbal communication sometimes, just in tripping over my words and things like that, because I struggle to let it all out. And that's basically what this is all practice of. The sun is beaming on me. I forgot to put on sunscreen. It was kind of dumb. I didn't know it was going to be beaming so hard, but I'm not sure why I'm surprised, being that I'm in Florida right now. So yeah, I guess let's get started. So yeah, I literally had brought my whole camera here thinking I was gonna do a camera setup because I like using this, especially when I'm doing seated content, because I just feel like I love the quality. Now, iPhone quality is honestly amazing. You can literally use your phone to fully have a successful YouTube channel and become famous off of it. People have done it, but I just love my camera. It also just makes me feel more in the talk mode, in the YouTube mode. However, I put it up and did a test shot, and unfortunately, like, the microphone that's on the camera isn't that great, so all you could hear was the wind. iPhone luckily has a better audio capability, so, and I don't have any microphones or anything like that quite yet. Once I get those, I'll probably use this for this segment more, but for right now we're gonna stick to our phone, which is fine because I did do a test shot for that too and I looked gorgeous, so I guess we're just gonna go with the phone for now. I don't really have an agenda for this conversation. I kind of was just hoping that I would sit down in the grass under the sun and things would kind of flow to me and I would just be able to practice letting them out. I'm not sure where that's gonna go, but I'm kind of gonna yap a little bit and just see what this video turns into. If you're watching this, I really appreciate it because this video is not necessarily something that you'll know you're gonna gain right from the title. It's gonna be something that you're kind of just learning my own introspection and taking that and seeing how it might apply to you, what it might inspire in you. I want to keep this very raw and real and just transparent, and hopefully, you know, the right person might find this and somehow this sparked an idea or a thought or a journey that you've been called to enter. I'm hot as fuck. It's beaming. It's crazy because it wasn't beaming this much until I sat down. So let the light shine on me. I guess I'm doing the right thing right now, because the sun is telling me so. It's telling me so. My legs are hot. They're very hot. There's construction going on here. I'm hoping they don't actually start any work because then it's gonna be really loud. But I see a whole bunch of construction men over yonder. It is what it is. We'll go with the flow. Like I said, I'm just trying to get this first video up because the hardest part is just starting things, and I'm tired of letting my ideas not come to fruition just because I'm too afraid to start. I am a creative person. With that being said, and I'm sure many of y'all can resonate, I have so many ideas, and ideas that I genuinely think are amazing ideas, ideas that the world needs, art that the world needs, and I struggle to actually implement them and even get started. I will plan an idea into the dirt. I will plan 4-year plan for a launch of something and then never start day one of the actual doing. And that's something I'm trying to overcome because I refuse. You know, my best friend actually told me a quote. It was pertaining to music specifically. I think it was something like, I refuse to die with this music inside of me. And I really took that to me like my art as a whole. I refuse to die with like all these ideas never being implemented and me never having the faith in myself to put them out anywhere. Even if this segment becomes a 5-segment or a 5-video segment that never goes further, at least I tried it. And on the other end, what if it's not just a 5-video segment? What if it becomes the connection to the right person that inspired something huge in my life or in their lives? Because that's also why I'm doing this. So I don't know. I think I'm trying to find my voice. I really am. I'm trying to find my voice in my art. That's been a major theme to me, is trying to find my art. And I definitely think YouTube is a huge part of that, because YouTube has been an interest of mine since I was a child. And when I say a child, I mean a young kid. I remember my best friend in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, we talked about doing YouTube, you know what I mean? And I had a friend in high school, we talked about doing YouTube, and it became a thing where I always just talked about it, never really got into it. All those times I created a video, never really put it out there. I actually did put YouTube videos out there with my best friend in like 5th grade. To be so honest, I don't know if they're still up, and I don't know how to find them because they probably got like 4 views, so I can't really search it. Hopefully one day I find it. I hope it's still kind of up because I'm sure they were funny, probably very embarrassing, but I'm also trying to overcome the embarrassing part of myself. So I'm literally just hoping that my phone doesn't overheat, because it's getting hot already because the sun is literally coming directly behind it. So I know it's beaming on my phone. So we're gonna hope that it doesn't overheat and just cut out while I'm talking, and I will have no idea until I look 5 minutes later, and I'll be very, very sick. Right now I am in Florida. I've been in Florida before with my current company, and this area that I've been in, I've also been here previously with my company. I really enjoy it. It's what people would describe as a retirement town, but honestly, I see why people go to retire in those places called retirement towns, because they're very peaceful, very, very just peaceful. Like, let me see if I can show y'all this real quick. If y'all can see, like, this is their backyards. Like, they have waterways all throughout the town. So it's a really peaceful, very peaceful area, very calm, very interesting though. Like, I gotta be honest, like, not a lot of black people exist here, so it's kind of surreal in a way. Like, and when I say not many exist, like, I'm saying, like, I've been all over in this town now. I've been here twice for multiple months at a time, and I've probably seen like a handful of people of color down here. So that's kind of, it's just interesting how being able to travel to all different parts of the country have showed me just how different all parts of the country really are. But definitely it's been a peaceful time. I feel like when I'm down here, it allows me to slow down and discover these kinds of parts of myself, the parts that will lead me to my art. So I'm kind of excited for that. I'm very excited for that. I feel like I've been on a big journey of self-discovery lately, and it's terrifying, exciting, exhilarating, confusing, sad, happy, every emotion I could probably agree with that it would be right now, because I'm just so all over the place that obviously being all over the place results in feeling all of the emotions and all of the spectrums. So as you may or may not know, I travel full-time for work right now, so I don't have a stable place that I call home right now. I don't have an apartment anywhere, like a home base necessarily, and so I'm trying to develop a plan to move and get my first apartment, which has been so confusing and terrifying. I don't know what I'm doing. It's so scary. The job I've worked thus far, it's been a travel job. It's been very good. It is in the corporate world, but it was an entry-level position. I got it right out of undergrad. So I don't have like a lot of diverse experience in other fields. I have diverse experience within my field, but the funny part is that what I'm doing right now is related to leasing, and I don't really want to do leasing anymore. I also, half my job is marketing, or not half, probably less than half of my job is marketing, but that's more so I'd be interested in. But you know, the core of what I do has been leasing related, and that's just not what I want to do anymore. So I'm trying to find a way to find a job that will hire me without having 5,000 decades of experience, and also I want at least $65,000 a year, because that's what I need to get an apartment and live. So it's not even like I'm asking for too much, but it's been a struggle. I've been applying to stuff nonstop, got denied for most of them so far. I had a couple interviews. I don't know where I'm falling with this. It's just been crazy. I'm 23 years old, and I feel like I know what I want to do with my life, but I also still feel so very lost, so very confused, and so just swimming around all over the place, trying to figure out where I belong in this big old world, and how my ideas are gonna help me monetarily, because I gotta be real, like, we need money to survive. So I don't really know how this is all working out at all. Like, I really don't. If we're friends and we've discussed in the past few months, you probably thought I was headed to San Diego, because that was my original plan at the beginning of this summer, around April, May, June, was I was gonna go to San Diego and go to grad school. As you can see, I just said I'm in Florida, so obviously I'm not in San Diego. And that just goes to show that things change all the time. Just to briefly explain what happened with the San Diego thing, I was gonna go for grad school. I got approved for a loan very last minute. Like, I was at very crunch time trying to find an apartment. I didn't know what my budget was gonna be. As you probably know, Cali is very, very expensive. So I had to apply and make sure I got enough loans to cover my housing. Got approved for a huge loan. It was $80,000 a year to cover my tuition and housing. And that number scared me. One, because I'm already a little bit in debt from undergrad and from credit card debt. I'm working through it. And medical debt from when I broke my wrists. So I'm not like crazy in debt. Like, I'm probably lucky compared to most. However, I do have debt. And so to take out $80,000 2 years in a row, with the second year probably being more, because, you know, tuition raises every year, I felt very uncomfortable doing that. And then when I also tried to consider why exactly am I going to grad school, one part for me was the education, and that is why I do think eventually I will go back to grad school, because I want that education, because that's something I really want to incorporate in my career, is the mentorship, the therapy, the coaching. But on the other end, I feel like I had to go to grad school, and I don't ever want to feel like I have to do something if it's not from my own pure, authentic desire. So I feel like when I realized that, combined with that loan that I was just didn't want, I feel like I decided to hold off on that and kind of just continue doing my travel job and figure out what's next instead. And to be quite honest, I'm so happy I listened to my gut, because I be telling my friends all the time, like, I could not imagine being in grad school right now. I don't think now was the time for me to move across the country and be in grad school. It's just not the time. So I'm glad it worked out that way. But I have to also be honest, when it didn't work out, it wasn't purely just because of me. It wasn't like, oh, I perfectly decided not to go. It was because, like, I got the loan last minute. I still hadn't really found housing. Like, it was a bunch of factors. And so now it makes me scared. It makes me kind of not believe in my abilities as much to move in general, because now I'm like, I couldn't even do my original plan. So now what makes me think that I can go and move at all? So that's kind of what I'm battling right now, is trying to figure out, what am I doing? That's what it boils down to. What am I doing, and how do I finally find peace in not knowing what I'm doing all of the time? Because that is the one truth that I'm realizing is the one truth in being human, is that we're never going to fully know anything. What we're doing next, what we're doing in 5 years, how we got here, what happens when we die. There's so many unanswered questions that we as humans will never fully be able to know or digest. And I have to learn to be okay with that. And that's something I don't like. I don't like not knowing things. It drives me insane. All these butterflies are around me right now. Love that for me. But it drives me insane. So I'm trying to learn how to do that. Let me make sure that my camera's still running. It was still running. That's great. So yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out, folks. Like, I feel very all over the place. I'm very hot. Let me put my hair up. Very hot. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing in this world. I like being in the sun, though. I like the heat. Like, when I swear to you, I like the heat. I enjoy basking in pure stinging sunlight. I like sweating. I like glowing because I'm sweating. It just feels good to be in the sun. So I really do enjoy the heat. Now, I'm not going to act like it's not uncomfortable sometimes, but just because something's uncomfortable doesn't mean you just don't like it. Those are two separate emotions, being uncomfortable and not liking something. So yeah, let me take a quick break to gather my thoughts and drink some water. The other thing I want to add for kind of what I imagine for this segment is that this is all, I want this to be so authentic, and this is a practice for me too in learning to be, sorry, I'm dripping sweat. This is a practice for me in learning to be fully authentic, even like in all avenues. So y'all, what I literally thought was gonna happen just happened. My phone overheated and I was just preaching, and I really actually liked what I said. So that's a great practice of detachment for me, because now I have none of that recorded. I flipped the camera around to stop the video and none of it was there. So if it comes back naturally, I will let it. Let me make sure this is still recording now. Okay, I actually do want to kind of touch on what I was talking about. I think I was actually dropping some good gems. What I was preaching about was inspired by a fellow YouTuber that I saw, a very divine spirit woman that I came across just naturally on my YouTube one day. She goes into the woods and kind of does what I'm doing. This is actually kind of where I was inspired from, was her content of just going to the woods and talking about her downloads and her experiences and her her processes and just the advice that she's been gifted to, you know, give to other people that has come from her own experiences and wisdom. Something that I feel very called to do as well. And in the video that I watched of her, she was explaining a bunch of different things, but one of the things that has stood out to me was her explanation on high highs and low lows. And she compared it to that of a pendulum. You know, and she explained that when you have a pendulum, and forgive me if I dumb this down way too much because I'm not a big science person, don't know the technical terms, physics, yay, whatever. So a pendulum, when you have a pendulum, you start over here and you let it go and it swings and it can never pass this point. It also, on the other side, if this is the middle, it can never pass this far on the other side, right? It can only swing that much. And she was kind of explaining that. So let's say, you know, this is your lows in life and these are your highs. And if you start here, this is your capacity for the high feeling, or let's just, you know, make it more simple. Sadness versus happiness. If this is the sadness level you've experienced, you can only get this level of happiness. But when something devastating and monumentally heart-shattering happens to you, well, of course it's not fun, but your level of sadness, your capacity for that expands. So now you're all the way back here, but what in the middle is still here. What that means is now your pendulum is able to swing all the way over here for your positive, your happiness, your excitement, all those feelings. And I feel like that picture really helped me understand why we have to experience low lows to feel high highs. Because it's a cliche saying that everybody's probably heard of at this point, but to break it down like that was really helpful for me. Because obviously nobody ever wants to experience those, you know, horrible things and extreme disappointment, sadness, and anger, but it's necessary. Make sure this is still recording. It is, okay, because if I miss that again, I was gonna say. But I also feel like it's important when I talk about these things, and this is heavily something I'm learning, is that we have to be able to differentiate our emotions. Just because you're disappointed doesn't mean that good things aren't happening to you, or just because you're angry doesn't mean that you hate this person that you're angry with. All these things need to be processed, and that is why it's so important to understand the broad spectrum of human emotions. And it's not necessarily fun to experience. You know, no one wants to be extremely angry at their close friend, or no one wants to be disappointed because they didn't get the job, or nobody wants to feel sad because of grief or loss, but you have to understand that in order to understand all of your positive emotions as well. You know, you have to feel extreme disappointment to feel extreme happiness. And I feel like that's definitely something that I'm learning, is how to be still in my feelings and let them be feelings. Feelings are not thoughtlings. It doesn't mean have a million thoughts and judge myself for what I'm feeling or judge somebody else for what I'm feeling. Feelings are feelings. You're supposed to feel them. And that's something I've really been practicing. Like when I feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is when I feel often. I'm often overwhelmed, often stressed. So when I feel those things, I sit and I'm like, okay, where am I feeling it? Usually I feel it in my heart. Usually I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in my hands getting clammy. You can feel where you're feeling it at. And it's important to understand that, because that way, now let's say you're angry with one of your close friends. Okay, where are you feeling angry at? Maybe you're feeling angry. Maybe you are feeling it in your head because you have so many thoughts racing, or maybe you're feeling it in your heart. Maybe you're feeling it in your muscles tensing up. Feel where you're feeling this emotion at, sit with that, process where it's at, and what is that telling you? And oftentimes, if you just ask yourself some of these questions when you're in the middle of feeling the feelings, which is the hardest thing to do, is to stop, you know, running in your thoughts and saying all these mean things, and actually pause and think about what you're actually feeling. It's really hard to do that, but usually when you find that pause and you're able to ask yourself a question, you'd be surprised how easy the answer comes to you. Why am I feeling angry? Okay, now maybe it's because I feel like my friend judged me. Okay, what made it feel like judging to me? Well, she said this about something that I posted. Okay, and what exactly did her saying that specific thing cause me to feel? And now we're getting past just angry. We're getting into the roots of things. Like now it made me feel unappreciated, or it made me feel embarrassed. It made me feel incapable of executing something to the full vision that I had. When we get down to that level, notice how none of that had anything to do with the friend. Notice how all of those things are internally processed things. And I feel like that's big on this whole preaching, because even something that I struggle with when I enter my spirituality is the whole feeling that no one's in charge of your feelings, things like that. And you're like, well, how can people just get away with being rude then? Why when I finally get to this point of understanding my feelings, are they just able to get away with it because I'm no longer reactive and I don't give them a hard time for making me feel this way? How is that fair to me that they don't get the wrath? That's really something that I struggled with. It really comes down to understanding that that person triggered something in you, and whether they're right or wrong doesn't matter. If they're wrong, that's for them, they're themselves to also have this entire process with and figure out and understand. But what they're inflicting onto me only gets a reaction if I'm triggered. And if we start to heal those triggers and identify what they are, then you simply won't react. It's not like you're choosing not to react because you're trying to be the bigger person. You won't react because your triggers have been identified and worked through, and you're practicing to heal them. Don't know why that all came out just now, but that was a good flow. I'm happy that I'm doing this. This is good practice for me. Anyway, y'all, I think I'm gonna wrap this up because I feel like I've been yapping for a while. It's been really, really fun. I'm honestly really, really glad I started doing this. I think it came a little bit easier than I thought it would. I also felt a little bit more free than I thought I would. And it came a little bit more natural than I thought it would. I feel very in tune with myself when I try to just focus on explaining just what's going on internally. If you watch this, I really, really appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening to me yap and chat, and I hope something resonated. I hope you're able to take away something. I hope maybe I inspired you in a way I didn't even mean to. I hope through my videos you find yourself a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, as always. Thank you.